gardeners. A lot of people have noticed this year that spring bulbs seem to be emerging far earlier than normal, as in November or December early. So I'm in a lot of gardening groups on Facebook and in other places, and I have been seeing this question a lot since last fall. Why are my spring bulbs coming up already, and will they be okay through winter? So I've asked a few of the people that posted pictures if I could use their pictures, and so here are a few shots from all around the world. And I can understand why it's such a concern, because we think plants aren't supposed to be growing in the winter. They shouldn't have all this green growth in the winter. But in reality, bulbs are pretty well adapted for this. So I'm going to start right off by saying, don't worry. This isn't usually a problem for the bulb, and I'll go into detail about why throughout this video. Typical life cycle of spring bulbs is a long dormancy in summer, fall, and winter, but they are only truly dormant on top of the soil. Underneath the earth, they are growing roots, dividing their bulbs or growing offsets, and preparing next season's growth. When the soil reaches a certain low temperature and then warms to another certain temperature, vertical growth is triggered. What those exact temperatures are varies for each species, and I was not able to find many specifics, but basically when soil warms up, it triggers leaf growth. So if your spring bulbs are shooting up green leaves in November, check the weather. Did you just have a cold spell that warmed up? Not to worry though. When the temps cool down again, the active growth will pause, and these leaves are well suited to handle cold temperatures. The only time this kind of growth is a problem is if the bulb is already blooming when it experiences a cold snap. I'll come back to that in a moment. The good news is that spring bulbs are especially adapted for cold weather, and there are plenty of things you can do if you are still concerned. The first thing is to prevent a problem before it starts by planting in the right place. Most bulbs prefer good drainage, regularly moist soil, and part to full sun. Planting near the house may offer protection from dehydrating winds, but the space near the foundation may be significantly warmer than the rest of your garden. So growth may be triggered even earlier and may be more susceptible to cold damage when the temperatures drop significantly. Plants in colder microclimates, like the north-facing shade or low dips that hold cool air, will likely emerge much later than those planted on a hill. Also, planting at the right depth is very important. A bulb planted too shallow can heave up in the frozen ground. The leaves will be deformed if it survives at all. Follow the instructions on the packaging or use this rule of thumb: 3 times the height of the bulb. Keep the garden watered. Drought is often a much bigger problem than cold in most cases. Watering well before winter gives all of your plants the moisture they need to get through the winter. Bulbs are no different. Also, snow not only waters the garden as it melts, but it insulates what it covers. A white winter is a wonderful thing for the garden, but a cold winter without snow is very hard on plants. Wind tends to desiccate leaves, and there's no blanket to insulate the soil, so soil can freeze harder and deeper. It should go without saying, but I will say it anyway. Don't overwater either. Bulbs that stay too wet will rot, as will most plants. Mulch. If you're concerned about the cold hardiness of any plant, then you can always add some mulch to insulate the roots or the crown. Bulbs are no different. Bark, wood chips, compost, and pine needles can all be used to cover bulbs until the time is right for them to emerge. You could also use a frost blanket or a bed sheet, but if you already have flower stems growing, then you'll want to support the cloth up with stakes so that the weight of the sheet doesn't break anything. If you have flower buds forming and a hard freeze in the forecast, you'll want to take some precautions. The closer a flower is to blooming, the more susceptible it will be to the frigid temperatures. The only reference of an actual temperature I was able to find was from Colorado State University, and that was that flowers will likely be damaged if temperatures fall below 26 degrees. Cover with a frost blanket or a bed sheet, as already suggested, or you can implement another strategy: ice. Spraying plants with water to form a layer of ice can protect the tender buds from extreme cold in the same way that snow insulates the ground. It regulates the temperature inside the flower and protects from desiccating winds. Another option, if you have buds or blooms with a looming cold snap, is to just cut them and bring them inside as cut flowers. Remember to never put daffodils in a vase with other spring bloomers, as the mucilage, which is the white gooey sap, can cause premature wilting in the other blooms. Last, if your plants are damaged, the best thing you can do is nothing. If the leaves are still green, then they may still be photosynthesizing, and removing them early means the bulb may not be able to store enough energy for its long dormancy and the next year's growth. So always wait until leaves are brown before cutting them down. Spring is coming earlier every year. I know I'm not the only gardener to have noticed that, and a lot of scientists have been studying the potential effects of this as well. While I was doing research for this video, I stumbled upon an interesting article. It was about how, since spring is coming earlier, it's resulting in drier summers. I found it really interesting, so I've linked it in the description below along with all my other sources. Feel free to check that out if you're so inclined. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you haven't already for more content like this. I've got lots of book reviews coming up for the winter months, as well as some botany, most likely. And if there's anything that you would particularly like to see, let me know in the comments below, so I'll see if I can put it together for you. Okay? Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you in the garden.